Hi and welcome to my channel. This is my first voiceover video and I will be taking you through my process of painting with gouache. I'm pretty new to it and I'm still figuring it out, but I think I will learn more by just explaining the process and understanding every move I make. I'm using gouache from Royal Talens and a split primary palette, or some call it cool warm primaries. It basically means I use 3 primary colors, which is yellow, red and blue, and I split each one into warm and cool shade. I follow it also with oils and watercolors, but for those two I like adding some convenience colors like browns and violets. So I'll be using white, which is a must-have in gouache, black, lemon yellow, a cool shade, yellow, which is a warm shade, vermillion, a warm shade of red, permanent rose magenta, which is a cool shade, light blue or cyan, which is a cool shade, and ultramarine blue, which is a warm shade. Cool shades make a classic yellow, cyan, magenta primaries, but I feel like I can't get all the colors I want with them, and that's why I added warm shades. So far it's working for me. Other stuff is of course water. I usually have 2 jars, brushes, synthetic hair, one angled, which is my favorite type for gouache, flats, and a pointed one. A plastic smooth palette, paper towel, a Canson Mix Media spiral bound sketchbook, A4 size, some palette knives, pencil for sketch, and a spray bottle with water to keep gouache from drying out too fast. Now setting up the palette. Because gouache dries very quickly, I use a wet paper towel to keep paint fresh. I just wet it in the jar, put it on the palette and put all colors on it. Now here's the issue I have with Talens gouache. It's really nice quality and quite cheap, but those jars are so inconvenient to use. I have to take the paint out with palette knife and there's just so much paint waste in the process. And I really hate wasting paint. I wish they made them in tubes, but maybe I should just switch to other brand. I set colors up in no particular order, usually just light to dark. With just 8 colors it's not a problem, but if you have more, it's good to have a system. I try to not use black paint, but sometimes it's helpful in gouache, especially if you want to mix, for example, a neutral brown with primary palette. But all you might need is usually just a little bit of black. I'm usually too impatient, so I made a very basic sketch, but with gouache I try working with shapes and blocks of colors rather than details, so all I need is just basic proportions. I start with base colors. They are kinda crazy and different than the end result is gonna look like, but there's a method in that. As a base, I either use a complementary color or any color I can just spot on the subject that is different than overall look. For example, a reflected color. So base for the jacket is green because it's complement to red, and the rest is neutral, but I felt like it's in shades, so I used blue as a base. and some light color for skin, just so it's not paper white. After base color, I go in with dark parts. That's how I work with oils. I'm not sure if it's a proper way of working with gouache, but I think I'll just have to try different ways and see. Then adding some shades on the face and minor details, but I pretty much leave it like this because it's not a focus point. Now the red jacket. Again, I start with darkest parts and slowly build it up with light. I don't try to cover all of the base green because it will complement the red and make it stand out more. The darkest parts turned out to not be as dark as I wanted, so I added some shades. t-shirt and all the other elements, again, dark to light. The only color I have troubles mixing from primaries is the neutral brown. That's why with other paints I just gave up and added brown to the palette. A nice deep brown like burnt umber is very helpful in mixing your own blacks. And the same thing with hair, from dark to light. For the background, I just mixed all the colors I worked with and got a nice tinted grey. Basically, if you mix all primaries, you should get a grey color, and that's the one you should be using instead of black and white mix. Manufactured black is very dull and empty, and adding it to other colors just make them dull and greyish. So ideally, you should avoid black paint and just mix it by yourself. And that's the end result. If you have any questions or maybe tips on using gouache, please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.